Those are online. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Yes or no? Okay. So listen. Hey, I'm doing the work. I want to check your notes. நான் டவுட்ஸ் வந்து உனக்கு ஏதாவது கேட்கறது இங்க வா சீக்கிரம் பரவாயில்ல அது டிஸ்டர்ப் ஆகக்கூடாது ஓகே ரைட் ஷல் வி கெட் ஸ்டார்டட் இப்போ கிளாஸ் எவ்வளோ டிஃப்ரெண்ட்டாக இருக்கும் பார் உன் நாலேஜ் அப்படியே வந்து உன் வழியாக ட்ரான்ஸ்ஃபர் த நாலேஜ் So listen. Now we'll start with this chapter, which is called as straight lines, and this chapter is a part of the extension of coordinate geometry, which you learned last year. You remember? In your 10th grade, you remember learning this chapter named coordinate geometry. So what did you learn in this? You would have learned something called as distance formula, right? Then you had something called as section formula, right? From this section formula, we would have derived midpoint formula. Remember? Am I clear with this? Right. Now the important question is, when I say it is going to be an extension of coordinate geometry, what exactly are we going to learn here? Thing is, when we think of a straight line, right? In your 10th grade, there was a chapter named, or right from your 8th grade, so you had a chapter named called as linear equations. So linear equations will vary according to the number of variables. It can be linear equations in one variable, linear equation in two, or linear equation in three. It can keep going like, okay. So if I say x is equal to 1, it's a linear equation in one variable. If I say x plus y is equal to 2, it is a linear equation in two variable. If I say x plus y plus z is equal to 3, okay, I've randomly written it. There's a linear equation in three variable. So when it comes to the concept of linear equation, we understood they represent according to the number of variables, what they represent according to the number of variables. But the question is, if I plot the same equations on a graph sheet and observe, what shape am I going to get? You will get a straight line. Suppose I plot the graph for x is equal to 1, then how will it look like? It will be a line which is parallel to y-axis. So this is x is equal to 1, correct? Right. Similarly, if I say x plus y is equal to 2, then how is the graph going to look like? If this is x and this is y, right? When you put x is equal to 0, what will be the y coordinate? Y coordinate is 2. So it is 0, 2. When you put y is equal to 0, what is the x coordinate? So x coordinate is 2. So it will be 2, 0. So when you join these two, you're going to get a straight line. So if you observe, here also you get a straight line, here also you get a straight line. This will be in a three-dimensional space, about which we will see next year in three-dimensional geometry. So as of now, what we are going to do is, in this chapter of straight lines, since we know from the basics of linear equations that linear equations in any number of variables is going to represent a straight line, our job in this chapter is to frame those equations of the straight lines. So all that we are going to do is, they'll give you some conditions. Based on the conditions that they give you, you need to frame the equations of those particular straight lines which satisfy the condition. That is the whole objective of this chapter, right? But for you to write the equation of the straight line, of course, you need to know the basics of coordinate geometry, which is the distance formula, section formula, and the midpoint formula, which I will take you through quickly. I'm not going to show you the derivation because it is already learnt. Okay. So first thing is, when we talk about distance formula, when we say that there are 2 points P and Q in the plane, which are given by the coordinates x1, y1 and x2, y2, then how will you find the distance between them? Root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. You know how it is derived? It is derived using the right angle triangle concept and the Pythagoras theorem, right? So you know how to apply it. For example, if you have the points as 6 comma minus 4 and 3 comma 0, then what is going to be the, when you apply the distance formula, what is the answer you will get? Root of 6 minus 3 the whole square, which is going to be 9, plus minus 4 plus minus 4 minus 0 the whole square. So root of 9 plus 16, root 25 will give you 5. Okay. So here, when you don't know what unit, you will just write it as units. Okay. Next is something called as section formula. This is something you would have seen already. Did you see? The coordinates of a point dividing the line segment joining the points x1, y1 and x2, y2 internally in the ratio m is to n is given by mx2 plus nx1 by m plus n and m by 2 plus n by 1 by m plus n. So let me explain what is the meaning of this. If I take a point here and a point here, if I take this to be P and this to be Q, right, where this point is going to be x1 comma y1 and this point is going to be x2 comma y2. If I take this point to be R, right, which is going to be x comma y. So what is the meaning of this statement? R is dividing P and Q internally in what ratio? In the ratio m is to n. Right. See, for example, if the ratio is 3 is to 2, this distance can be 3, this can be 2, or this can be 6, this can be 4, this can be 12, and this can be 8. It keeps on going like that. Right. When we take it like this, then what is going to be the coordinate of point R? Listen to this carefully. So the coordinate of point R will be m into x2. So it is going to be m into x2. Plus, if it is internally, where is it? If the word internally is used, you have a plus. Plus n into x1. N into x1 divided by m plus n. This is going to be the x coordinate. Then what will be the y coordinate? You tell me. Ritika, tell me. M. So how will you remember? M into the opposite coordinate. So m into y2 plus n into y1 divided by m plus n. So this formula is what is called as section formula, because the point is dividing it into two sections. I'll give you time to write, don't worry. It is just a recap. Okay, it is called as section formula. Now, there are few other formulae I have learned. One is called as midpoint formula. What does midpoint formula state? It will be x1 plus x2 by 2 and y1 plus y2 by 2. How will you get it? When you take the midpoint, m and n will be 1 is to 1. So when you put m as 1 and n as 1, what will you get in the denominator? x1 plus x2 by 2 and y1 plus y2 by 2. Makes sense? Right. And the fourth formula is, if there are 3 vertices given in terms of the coordinates, then how will you find the area of it? It is half into modulus of, you'll start with x1 and you'll go in a cyclic pattern. So y2 minus y3 plus. So since you started with 1 here, you'll write x2. See, it is 1, 2, 3. If you start with 2, it should come as 2, 3, 1. So it will be y3 minus y1 plus, what will be the next term? x3. If you start with 3, what should be the pattern? 3, 1, 2. Are you able to understand what I mean by cyclic pattern? And you close the bracket, that is going to be the formula. The same thing can be learned in another term called as determinants also. As of now, I'm not discussing. You learn it in your matrices next year. Okay, they both are same, but I hope you understood what I mean by cyclic pattern, right? So these are all the formulae that are derived or learned already as a basic in your 10th standard, right? So just make a quick note of whatever I told you. Okay. So first make a note of this. Done with this slide? Shall I proceed? Right. Diagrams narrow, right? Done? Right. Now, so write down the four formulae that we discussed. First is the distance formula. So what is the distance formula? Just write this description. Distance between the points px1, y1 and qx2, y2 is pq is equal to this thing. Done, nada? பேசலன்னா தூக்கம் வந்துடும்ல உனக்கு கண்ணெல்லாம் அப்படியே தூக்கம் வருது. The coordinates of a point dividing the line segment joining. So underline that word internally, okay? So section formula which is given here, there are two kinds actually. One is internally, one is externally. So internally means it is plus, externally means minus. Clear with that? Okay. Then the midpoint formula and the area formula. Done, nada? நாலுமே எழுதிட்டேன். பட் அந்த mx2 nx1 எப்படின்னு ஞாபகம் இருக்கும்ல, அந்த டயக்ராம் வரைஞ்சிடும் அப்பதான் புரியும். I gave one diagram. No? Done? Sure. Now, we are going to start with the most important concept. Okay. Now, this is going to be the first concept of your 11th standard straight lines, right? Which is called as slope of a line. Okay. See, there are many formulae in this for which I'm not going to show you any of the proofs in the class because I've already done it and I've pre-recorded it, that I'll give it in the app. I'm only going to teach you what are the formulae and what is the technique to solve the problems. So I'm going to solve more of the problems so that you're able to get more confidence. Clear? So derivations part, I'm not going to touch. I'm telling you before itself. I'll give it in the app. Okay. Now listen. So as the name suggests here, what do you mean by slope? If I take something like this, if I hold this to be flat like this, what can you say the slope of this is? Is it on a slope? You know what is a slope, right? See, if this is like this, and if I tilt it like this, it makes a difference, right? There is a ramp that is getting created. So if I think of an object moving, the object is either going to move up or move in the downward direction, right? So slope basically means whenever there is an elevation like this, whenever there is a ramp of this sort created, you are able to see an angle it is making with respect to the base, right? So if I have to replicate it, this ramp is making an angle with the base. If I call that angle to be theta, right? Then can I say that the object that is moving here is on a slope? It can either move upward or downward. It is on a slope, right? If it is horizontal, I'll call that the slope of that particular shape is going to be 0. Whereas when it is like this, let's say there is an angle theta that is coming into picture. And if this angle is measured in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Now, if I take the same concept and implement it to a line, because what is the concept? It is not just slope. It is a slope of a line. So when you have a line, the line can get inclined with respect to the x-axis at any angle. There is a possibility that the line is like this itself. Or there is a possibility where the line is perpendicular to the x-axis, or there is a possibility where the line is making an acute or obtuse angle with respect to the x-axis. But the question is, in which direction should you take that angle to be? In which direction are we supposed to consider? We should always consider only the anti-clockwise angle. Right? If you take the anti-clockwise angle and define that angle as theta, then tan of that anti-clockwise angle is what is called as slope of that line. What is it? Tan of the anti-clockwise angle is what is called as the slope of that particular line. Am I clear with this? This is how a slope is going to be represented. So coming from the beginning, I'll just take it quickly. So what did I say? If a line is inclined with respect to the x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction with an angle theta, then if you take tangent of that angle, what do I mean by tangent? Tangent is tan of that angle theta, then the tan theta will give you a value, no? That value is what is called as slope of that particular line, and the slope of the line is represented with the symbol small m. So this is the symbol we are going to use throughout this chapter. So what is slope? Can you tell me again? M is equal to tan theta. How should this theta be measured? Theta should be measured in the anti-clockwise direction. So theta is measured in the anti-clockwise direction. Am I clear with this? Right? So that is called as slope. Now the question is, how will I take that concept and apply it to the coordinates of the point? Okay. See, suppose there is a line that is joining 2 points. So let me call the points as x1, y1, and let me call the other point as x2, y2. Let's say this line is passing in this way. Okay, let's say it is passing this way. One misconception that I want to eliminate here is I told that the angle should be made with the x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction, but the x-axis always need not be positive x-axis. It can make the angle with the negative x-axis also, but still the angle should be measured in the anti-clockwise direction. If I take this angle to be theta, okay, if I take this to be A and B, what I need to do is I need to find the slope of this line in terms of what? See, if I give you x1, y1 and x2, y2 and I ask you the distance formula, what will you tell me? Root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. So the distance formula is in terms of x1, y1 and x2, y2. So what is the basic definition of slope that I told you now? Basic definition of slope is tan theta. If somebody asks you what is the slope of a line, tan theta is what you need to say. And what is the theta? Theta is the angle made by the line with the x-axis in anti-clockwise direction. That's it. These are the 2 points we need to mention. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to derive an expression for slope in terms of the coordinates. For that, if I take the two coordinates to be x1, y1 and x2, y2, tell me if I drop a perpendicular from here, then what is this distance going to be? It is x1. If I drop a perpendicular from here, what is this distance going to be? It is going to be x2. Similarly, if I drop a perpendicular from here, this distance is going to be y1 and this distance is going to be y2. Accepted? Right. Now what is my objective? I need to find slope. Slope is m according to mathematics. So slope is m. But what is m according to definition? It is tan theta. So wherever tan is getting involved, tan is what kind of a function? It's a trigonometric function. So trigonometry is applicable for what kind of triangles? Right angle triangle. Do I have a right angle triangle here? We have it kind of, but we need to generate it. So how will you generate? By dropping a perpendicular. So when you drop the perpendicular, what will happen? This will be A. If this point is B, let me call the foot of the perpendicular to be P. So if this angle is theta, then how much will this angle be? Corresponding angles. So it is going to be theta. Now tell me one thing. See, if this whole distance is y2, then how much will this distance be? If this is y1 and this whole distance is y2, it is going to be y2 minus y1, right? Similarly, how much will this distance be? If this total distance is x2 and this distance is x1, then it is going to be x2 minus x1, right? So what I'll do is I'll take the triangle APB and I take this angle to be theta. Now you tell me what is AP. A is this point. Okay, what is AP? You have the distance. AP is x2 minus x1. What is BP? y2 minus y1. So from this triangle, what is tan theta? So from this triangle, what is tan theta? Tan theta is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. But according to mathematics, what is tan theta? So did you derive the formula for m? So if 2 points are given to you, how will you find the slope of it? You will find the slope of it by taking the difference in the y coordinate to the difference in the x coordinate. Where else did we see the concept of slope? We saw it in the motion in one dimension. You remember, for a displacement time graph, slope is going to be velocity. For velocity time graph, slope will be acceleration. This is the concept. So it comes from here. Just 1 point to be added here is slope has another name called as gradient. This is a very less used term. Okay. But this gradient is something you'll use it in physics. Velocity gradient, there is, yeah, you have, did you learn viscosity? Did they start? There you'll use it. We have something called as velocity gradient. Gradient basically means slope. Is that clear? So I hope I'm clear with this, right? So what you need to do is I'll tell you what you're supposed to copy. Don't copy this whole story. Write down slope of a line, write down the heading as slope of a line, and write down the one line definition of it, which I told you. What is the definition I told you? Can someone repeat it, please? Tangent of the angle. So what is slope of a line? Please write it down. I'll dictate. Tangent means in bracket, write it as tan. Yeah, tangent of a line, tangent of an angle made by the line in which direction? Made by the line with the x-axis. Yes, made by the line with the x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction. Clear? Now what you do is draw this diagram. So draw this diagram and write m is equal to tan theta. That anti-clockwise symbol. Clear with this? Those are online, am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we hope you're writing it. Please make a note of it. I already dictated the statement. Okay, so slope of a line is denoted by m and m is equal to tan theta. Right. Now write down this thing. Shall I proceed? Oh, you're still copying? Write it. Shall I proceed? So listen. Now, see, we know that slope of a line is m is equal to tan theta. So if I put a question like this, what is the slope of x-axis? What will the answer be? How much is the angle made by the x-axis with itself? Zero. This is x-axis. The x-axis makes an angle of 0 with itself, right? So slope of x-axis is going to be tan 0 degrees. So which is 0. Okay. Similarly, if there is a line parallel to x-axis, if there is a line parallel to x-axis, what is the slope of it? Slope is still 0. Why? Because if a line is parallel to x-axis, the angle between them is either 0 degree or 180 degree. It is either going to be 0 or 180, and tan 0 or tan 180 is going to be 0 itself. So I'll write the reason also. It is going to be tan 0 or tan 180. So why I'm telling this statement is, going forward, if someone tells you that the slope of a line is 0, then what are the two possibilities? It can either be x-axis or it will be a line parallel to x-axis. These are the two possibilities. Okay. Next, using the same context, right? If I ask you what is slope of y-axis, what will you say? What is the slope of y-axis? It's going to be tan y-axis. What angle does it make with x-axis? 90. So tan 90, it is going to be not defined. Similarly, what is going to be the slope of a line parallel to y-axis? It's same undefined. Because if there is a line parallel to y-axis, that line is also making an angle of 90 degree with the x-axis, right? So here I want you to remember the point that the value of theta is not measured with respect to y-axis. It is always measured with respect to x-axis. That point should get strongly registered in your mind. Is that clear? Am I clear with this? Right? So is this concept clear? Just make a quick note of it. Can I proceed? Those are online. Are you completed copying it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, listen. Now, Now, the next concept is angle between two lines. So, when you talk about two lines, right, whenever they give you two lines, right, equation of two lines or something like that, they should have given you the slope of those lines. So now we understood that each line is going to have a different slope, right? So if I take a diagram like this, if I take this to be x-axis, this to be y-axis, if this is a line like this and this is another line like this, if I take this to be M1 and if I take this to be M2, right? Now, the angle between these two lines can either be taken to be this. Listen to this carefully. Whenever we say angle between two lines, right? The misconception that we have is there is only going to be one angle present, but that's not the answer. There will be two angles present. One angle is alpha, and the other angle that will exist is 180 minus alpha. So one angle will be acute, one will be obtuse. Okay. So here, what I'm trying to say is there are two lines where for the two lines, the slopes are given as M1 and M2. Am I clear with that? Right, this is line 1 and this is line 2. The slope of them is M1 and M2. If you need to find the angle between them, then the formula for that is going to be tan alpha. Okay, don't get confused. This tan is not the slope. This tan of the angle between the lines. So tan alpha is equal to modulus of M2 minus M1 divided by 1 plus M1 into M2. So this is going to be the formula. Why is it so? You can have a look at the pre-recorded videos. As I told you, derivation they are not going to ask, but I've proved it there for your understanding. Okay, tan alpha is equal to mod of M2 minus M1 divided by 1 plus M1 into M2. This is the formula. So for you to apply this formula, looking at this itself, you will be able to know what are all the required parameters. You need the slope of those two lines, right? So when you need to apply this formula, they should give you the slope of two lines, right? Just make a quick note of it. Shall I proceed? Listen. So from this, an important observation that we can see is, what are the conditions for parallelism and perpendicularity of two lines in terms of their slopes? Okay. See, suppose there are two lines whose slopes are given as M1 and M2. Now we know how to measure the angle between them. How do you measure the angle? Now, just now we saw the formula. Tan alpha is equal to mod of M2 minus M1 divided by 1 plus M1, M2. Makes sense, right? This is the formula. Now tell me one thing. When two lines are parallel to each other, right? If two lines are parallel to each other, then what is going to be the value of alpha? See, this parallelism, or you can use the word collinearity also. I'll talk about that. Collinearity in the sense, if 3 points are collinear, for that also same condition is applicable. Okay. So parallelism is for lines, collinearity is for 3 points. Okay, both have the same condition. That's why I'm covering it here itself. Okay. If two lines M1 and M2 are parallel, what is going to be the value of alpha? Think 0 or 180 again. So alpha is going to be 0 or 180. We'll take it as 0 itself. So what is tan 0? So tan 0 is going to be 0. So in the place of alpha, I substituted 0 and I got a 0. But what is the formula for tan alpha? It is M2 minus M1 divided by 1 plus m1, m2. So if this m2 minus m1 by 1 plus m1, m2 is 0, then what is m2 minus m1 equal to? That is equal to 0. That implies m2 will be equal to m1. So what is the important conclusion you can draw out of this? If you have two lines, right, which are parallel to each other, then what will be the relation between their slopes? Their slopes are the same. Their slopes are the same. Okay. Remember this condition. I'll connect it to your 10th standard concept, which you have already learned. If two lines are there, a1x plus b1y plus c1 is equal to 0, and a2x plus b2y plus c2 is equal to 0. Remember, the general form of a line is a1x plus b1y plus c1 is equal to 0, and a2x plus b2y plus c2 is equal to 0. There is a condition for parallelism. What is it? a1 by, you remember, a1 by a2 should be, or a1 by a2 should be equal to, not equal. If it is equal to, they'll become coincident lines. Not equal to, they'll be parallel lines. You remember that? Okay. I will tell you how that can be understood from the concept of slope after I explain few other concepts. But as of now, have this in your mind. So as of now, what is the important point you need to have in your mind? If two lines are parallel for which the slopes are m1 and m2, then the relation between m1 and m2 is m1 is equal to m2, as simple as that. Similarly, if those two lines are perpendicular to each other, if I take this to be m1 and if I take this to be m2, right, then what is going to be the value of alpha? Angle between the lines is 90. So alpha is equal to 90 implies tan alpha is equal to undefined. But what is tan alpha? Tan alpha is equal to mod of m2 minus m1 by 1 plus m1, m2. Remember, if a ratio has to be undefined, then the denominator should be 0. So if the denominator is 0, 1 plus m1, m2 is equal to 0, or m1, m2 is equal to minus 1. This is a very, very important condition to be remembered. What does it state? If two lines are perpendicular, then the product of their slopes is equal to minus 1. What is it? If I have to put it in a statement, if two lines are perpendicular, then the product of their slopes is how much? Minus 1. Am I clear with this? Okay. Just make a quick note of this. Shall I proceed? Let me know once you're done. Done? Those are online. Are you done?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now we are done with the concepts. Okay. For the first exercise, we'll start with some example problems. Listen. So it's very simple. The first example is find the slope of the lines passing through the points 3, -2 and -1, 4. So what is the slope of a line joining 2 points? M is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Listen to this. This is the formula that we have seen. But listen to this carefully. If you start with 2 in the numerator, if you write y2 minus y1, in the denominator also you should write 2 minus 1. At the same time, this is also equal to y1 minus y2 by x1 minus x2. So if you start with 1 in the numerator, you should start with 1 in the denominator. But this is the formula that is given in your textbook and we'll follow that. Okay. So y2 minus y1 is, what is it? -1 minus 3, the whole divided by 4 plus 2, which is going to be 6, which will be -4 by 6, or it is going to be -2 by 3. So slope of the line is -2 by 3. Y2 is 4 minus y1 is -2. Minus of minus is +2. So 4 plus 2 is 6. Oh, I wrote in the reverse. Oh, sorry. Yeah, correct. Correction, guys. Then it is -3 by 2. Right. So y2 minus y1. Y2 minus y1 is 4 minus of -2 divided by x2 minus x1. -1 minus 3. So how much will you get? 6 divided by -4, or it is -3 divided by 2. That will be the answer. Clear? Shall I proceed? Do this fast. -1 by 9 now. 55. 3 minus 2, 7 minus 2. -2 minus of -2 is +2. 0. So m will be equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So -2 minus of -2 divided by 7 minus 3. You will get the answer as 0. So this is one such example. I told you slope of which line will be 0. Slope of either x-axis or a line parallel to x-axis. This is a line which is parallel to x-axis. I'll show you why. Observe. So if I take this to be x and this to be y, 3, -2, which quadrant does it fall in? It's fourth. So 3, -2 will fall in the fourth quadrant, and 7, -2 will also fall in the fourth quadrant. Since this distance is 2 and this distance is 2, it is a line parallel to x-axis. Now it makes sense. That is why the slope of a line which is parallel to x-axis is always 0. Next, do this. Quick. M is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So y2 minus y1 is 6 divided by x2 minus x1 is 0, which will be undefined. So this is a line which is parallel to y-axis. It will not be y-axis. Y-axis means x is equal to 0. See, had it been y-axis, I'll tell you how the point would have been. Had it been y-axis, the point would have been 0, -2 and 0, 4. Means the x-coordinate would have been 0. If the x-coordinate is not 0, but you're getting the slope as infinity, means it is a line parallel to y-axis. Am I clear with that? So the fourth question is, there is a line making an inclination of 60 degree with the positive direction of x-axis. Don't get confused, okay? This is a point where many of them get confused. Positive direction of x-axis means it is not positive x-axis. Positive direction of x-axis means anti-clockwise direction. Because in mathematics, anti-clockwise angles are considered to be positive. That is why read the question carefully. It is positive direction of x-axis, meaning the line could have either been like this or like this. It could have been any way. Both the options are possible. But what is the difference? See, here it is 60, right? Anti-clockwise direction. Here also it is 60, anti-clockwise direction. Listen to this carefully. I'm not saying that there are two lines. There is only one line. It could have been either this or this. But I'm trying to explain what that positive direction. Positive direction is anti-clockwise. But as I told you in the beginning, it is not necessary that the line should make an angle only with the positive x-axis. It can make with the negative x-axis also. So having said this, what is going to be the slope? M will be equal to tan theta. So tan 60, answer will be √3, and we are done. Is that clear? So slope of this line is going to be √3. Shall I proceed? So the next set of problems are based on the angle between two lines. Okay. So if the angle between two lines is pi/4, so the what value have they given? Alpha is equal to pi/4. And slope of one of the lines is half. Slope of one of the lines is half. We don't know which line it is. If I take M1 to be half, then what is going to be the slope of the other line? Then what is the value of M2? Is that clear? So let me do this and show. What is the formula for tan alpha? It is modulus. Don't forget that modulus. It is mod of M2 minus M1 divided by 1 plus M1 M2. But what is the value of alpha? Pi/4. What is tan pi/4? Tan pi/4 is 1. So which implies tan pi/4, I'm directly writing it as 1. I hope no one has a doubt. I'll write the reason here because tan pi/4 is equal to 1. So 1 is equal to, whenever you remove this modulus, right? Remember, you should put a plus or minus. Plus or minus. What is that you have? M2 is what we need to find. M2 minus, what is the value of M1? Half divided by 1 plus M1 M2. M1 is half, M2 is M2 only. So M2 by 2. Makes sense? So the formula is M2 minus M1. M1 is half plus by 1 plus M1 is half. Half into M2 is M2 by 2. So when you take LCM, what are you going to get? Plus or minus 2M2 minus 1 divided by 2 plus M2. This is equal to 1. Now see how I'm going to solve. So 2 plus M2, I'll bring it to the left-hand side. 2 plus M2 is equal to plus or minus 2M2 minus 1. Am I right? So how many values of M2 are you going to get? You will get 2 values. How are those 2 values coming? By considering plus here ones and minus ones. So from here, I can say 2 plus M2 is equal to 2M2 minus 1. When I consider the right-hand side to be plus. Or 2 plus M2 is equal to minus 2M2 plus 1. Makes sense? So when you rearrange the equation, M2 will go to the other side, minus 1 will come this side. So 3 is equal to 3M2, which implies M2 is equal to 1. Or 2 minus 1 is 1 is equal to minus 3M2. So M2 could have been minus 1 by 3 also. So what are the 2 values of M2? It is either 1 or minus 1 by 3. So answer will be 1 or minus 1 by 3. Right? So what is the most important point to be kept in your mind here? When you remove modulus, you should put plus or minus. Okay. Done? Yes. Those who are online, did you complete copying it? Did you copy it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, listen to this carefully. Next one. The third question is, line through the points minus 2, 6 and 4, 8 is perpendicular to the line through the points 8, 12 and x, 24. Find the value of x. So here I would like to give you a hint. Whenever 2 points are given, so whenever 2 points are given, the first point that you need to make a note of is slope of the line is given. You can ask me how. So if 2 points are given, slope of the line is given. So if this is A and if I take this to be B, similarly, if I take this to be P and this to be Q, there is a line that is joining AB. So what is the slope of AB? So slope of AB is equal to 8 minus 6 divided by 4 minus of minus 2. So 8 minus 6 is 2 divided by 6. It is going to be 1 by 3. Okay. Then what is the slope of PQ? So what is the slope of PQ? 24 minus 12 divided by x minus 8. So 24 minus 12 is 12. 12 divided by x minus 8 is PQ, the slope of PQ. Okay. Now what are they saying? These two lines are perpendicular to each other. What is the condition for perpendicularity? So if I take this slope to be m1, if I take this slope to be m2, what is product of the slopes should be minus 1, which implies 1 by 3 into 12 divided by x minus 8 is supposed to be minus 1. So 3 will cancel this 12 4 times. So 4 is equal to minus x plus 8, which implies x is equal to 8 minus 4 is 4. And that's the answer. Clear? Will I proceed? No. So they're asking you to draw a rough diagram. In the sense, asking you to check the, or they are trying to test your quadrant concept. So, there are 4 vertices given. For the 4 vertices, you need, with the help of 4 vertices, draw a quadrilateral and find the area of it. So basically, quadrilateral is constructed with the help of 2 triangles. So find the area of both the triangles and add them. That will give you the answer. Because that is the formula we saw, right? Area of a triangle. Find the area of both the triangles, add them, you will get the answer. Okay. So question says, draw a quadrilateral in the Cartesian plane whose vertices are -4, 5, 0, 7, 5, -5, and -4, -2. Also find its area. This is x-axis, y-axis, x dash, and y dash. So what are the vertices? -4, 5. Which quadrant is it? Second. So -4, 5, let's say it is here. 0, 7 on the y-axis. So 0, 7 will be above. Because this distance is 5, this should be 7. So 5, -5. Fourth quadrant. So 5, -5 is going to be somewhere over here. Then what about -4, -2? Third quadrant. So -4 is here. So -4, -2 should be coming somewhere over here. Okay. So if I join these, sorry. So this is the shape of the quadrilateral that we are going to get. Right. Let me call this as A, B, C, and D. So to find the area of this quadrilateral, what can I do? I break it into two triangles. So area of the quadrilateral is equal to area of triangle ABC plus area of triangle ADC. So what is the area of triangle ABC? Half into modulus of x1. What is x1? -4. So can I directly write it? So half of -4 into y2 minus y3. So tell me, y2 is 7, y3 is -5. So 7 minus of -5 is 12 plus x2, right? x2 into what am I going to have? I'll write it, though it is 0, right? Though I'll write it. So 0 into -5 -5. It is -10 plus y3 is -5 into y1 minus y2. -4 -0. Am I clear with this? So half into modulus of -48 plus 20. So -48 plus 20 is -28. So modulus of -28 is 28. 28 by 2 is 14. So it is going to be 14 square units. So 14 square units is the area of triangle ABC. This is the area of triangle ABC. What is going to be the area of triangle ADC? So tell me, half into modulus of, I'll go in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3, according to this case. So -4 into -2 plus 5. So it is 3. -2 plus 5. 3, no? It is 3 plus x2. -4 into -5 -5. -10 plus x3. 5 into 5 minus of -2. So it is 7. So half into modulus of -12 plus 40 plus 35. So how much is it going to be? 75 minus 12 is? So 63 by 2. So it is 63 by 2 square units. So what is going to be the sum? So since we want the sum, it is going to be 14 plus 63 by 2 or 28 plus 63. 28 plus 63 is 91. So 91 by 2 will be the answer. So 91 by 2 square units. 91 by 2 square units. Okay. Shall I proceed? We'll do one last problem. We'll wind up. Listen. The base of an equilateral triangle with side 2A lies along the y-axis. So there is an equilateral triangle whose base is lying along the y-axis such that the midpoint of the base is the origin. Right? Find the vertices of the triangle. Now listen. So if the base is going to be of length 2A and the midpoint is considered to be origin, then how much will be the distance above y-axis? A, and the distance below y-axis is A. So what will be the coordinate of this point? It will be 0, comma A. And what will be the coordinate of this point? It will be 0, comma minus A, so that you add both. What are you going to get? 2A, right? So the vertex here is going to be somewhere at this place. Why should it lie on the x-axis? Because for an equilateral triangle, the distance from the top and the bottom vertex to the third vertex should be the same. So if that's the case, it is understood that the third vertex should lie on the x-axis. If I join them like this, right? Find the vertices of the triangle. We have already found 2. The third vertex is what is supposed to be found. So since this distance is A, let me call this distance to be x, so that this point is going to be x, comma 0. Once I find the value of x, I'll replace it with that value. So if this is x, then how much is this angle going to be? It is 30 degrees because this is 60. Now what you can do is x divided by A, if you take it. So let me call this as O, this is A, this is B and C. So if I take the triangle AOB, in triangle AOB, x divided by A is going to give you tan 60. Are you able to understand? So what is tan 60? It is root 3. So x will be equal to root 3A. Right. So what will the answer be? Root 3A, comma 0. Now putting everything together, what are the 3 points? 0, comma A, 0, comma minus A, root 3A, comma 0. Clear? So these are the 3 vertices. Make a note of. Those are all. Any questions? All clear? Those who are online, are you there?
Yes, sir. No questions.
Okay, we'll wind up.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.